gods watch over your battles, friend.
You want to have inspiring conversations? Go talk to Francis. Well, well, well. Looks like Erin got herself a customer. Well, I'm sure you got plenty of coin to spend around, but don't spend it all just yet. I'm gonna be selling some of my own wares soon. Real soon. But Francis is mine. You can't have her. My horse, you dumb toady. Francis is my horse's name. Says so right on her soul, which is inside of her hide, where only I can touch it. Some of them mages, though, they got special gloves. Lets them touch things that aren't there. Some can even cast spells that rip a soul right off your skeleton. Ever seen a mage turn someone purple? That's soul ripping. Well, it's not exactly a trap the way I've seen mages do it. More like you need to drop the T and add an E at the end. That's right. They should call it soul rape. And all them soul rapists at the college should be thrown into the sea for their crimes. Very soon. They say good, fast, and cheap. Pick two. Something can be good and cheap, but it won't come fast. Something could be fast and good, but it won't come cheap. And something could be fast and cheap, but it won't be good. Well, I say to oblivion with that. My horses are going to be the fastest, cheapest thing on the market. And that sounds pretty good to me. Oh yes. It'll take some time to build it. Maybe have to tear down that inn or the Jarl's home first to make room. But a city isn't a city without a stable. It's just some backwoods hamlet like Riverwood or Rorikstead. You want prestige? You need horses. Then perhaps you'd like to make a donation then, traveler. No, I'm not talking about coin. A donation of your time is what we require. Coin will not rebuild this town. Sweat and tears will rebuild it. The sweat and tears of slaves. We need a new, free source of labor.
No, everything is quite all right. I expect a bit of animosity now and then.
I see. Well,
It's a good idea if we had more of them. But there's just the two. The scrawny little toad's got energy. I'll give him that. It's like ants. You get enough of them working together, and they could debone a mammoth faster than Ranmir at a meadery. Except Arid hates Asur, and getting those children to cooperate on such a large-scale project is nothing more than a wet dream. I was thinking more along the lines of that great big college of potential slaves overlooking the city. Well, the main problem is they got them fancy seals on the entrance. The walkway is narrow too, but we can use that to our advantage. Just send some beast gone berserk down that aisle, and anyone who gets in its way is taking a carriage ride straight to Pilgrim's Trench. They got them some calming spells though, but that only works on the mind. It doesn't touch the tongue. That's why my plan is to feed this monster some spicy food, like one of them peppers that they sell at the markets in Hammerfell. We got some troll's mouth, hotter than the Red Mountain, and then point it right at those mages. They won't know what hit them, but they'll know when they wake up with chains around their ankles. Not yet. First I need you to get me a troll, or a saber cat. Get it to follow you here. And peppers. You'll need to go to Hammerfell and get the spiciest peppers you can buy. Then you'll have to get all the mages lined up on the walkway. I've noticed a lot of them like to head down to the inn, but never all at the same time. Try becoming their leader or something. Gain their trust. That's about it. I'll let you know if Francis has any other ideas. Now go on, get to it. Some say it's a great wonder. A great wonder how a bunch of corpse coddlers managed to hide a gate to oblivion right in Skyrim. It was Francis, though, who first pointed out to me that all these mages like to wear hoods. What do they have to hide? She asked me. What indeed? A thief wears a hood to mask his face from the guard. A mage wears the hood to hide the fact that he's a Daedric lord. Of course, I've never been against a person's right to do what he wants in his own home. But if they have Daedric slaves working for them, then we ought to tax them or make them pay insurance in case things go wrong. And if they bring them outside, then we ought to hang every one of them. The Daedra, that is. The mages will give collars and make them our pets. Ah, now that is a tale that rivals any love story the bards ever told. It was when I was still young, barely a man, living in Riften. One of the local lords offered to take me and 2 others hunting. The problem was I had never ridden a horse, a fact that was quite apparent by the way the lord's horse bucked me. After 4 tries, I ran into the forest to wipe the sweat out of my eyes. I came to a grove and couldn't believe what I saw. A wild mare, locked in battle with the Spriggan, fighting to defend its young. That's when I saw Frances for the first time. She was lying in a pool of clear slime, no older than a day. Then our eyes met, and she spoke to me. She said, "Wee," or something like that. I took it to mean she wanted the Spriggan dead. So I took my bow and shot the tree walker. I shot her too. The things we do for love. It was the problem. After 4 tries, she said, so I took my bow and shot. Stop it. You're making my eyes sweat again. It was when I was after 4 tries, she said, so I took my bow and shot, says the toady on the way to the college to prance around with the mages. Goodbye.
Aster had to move away because of the Empire, but we get to stay.
Turns out who runs Winterhold doesn't change much. Can't say I'm surprised. I won't complain about Courier being gone, but I don't expect things to really be any different.
My favorite drinking buddy. Let's get some mead. Unless it's gold for another round of drinks, I don't want to hear it. A what? Don't you go pulling my leg. Give it here. This is really from her, isn't it? Did she really run off and do this? For me? By the 8. She's dead, isn't she? And it's all my fault. I have some thinking to do. Thank you for this.
Now here's a man I'm glad to see. No, there isn't, and I suggest you leave it at that. I don't want to see anyone get hurt over this. Yeah,
Well, I'm at a loss. None of this makes a damn bit of sense. True, very true. But the autumn gale was an exception. 77 times it swam through the Sea of Ghosts, safely to the northern shore. 77 times through mighty storms and restless seas, it never failed to reach port. But somehow, on the 78th, on a clear day with a steady wind, it sank to the bottom of Pilgrim's Trench. Not a single one. A great tragedy indeed. How am I ever going to replace such cheap and skilled labor? Fortunately, I hadn't paid them their wages for the last few months. That takes some of the sting out of it.
And isn't hurting anyone.
Oh, are you sure of that?
The vines only know. The wreckage is too far down the trench to offer any clues. But while we can't salvage the ship, we can salvage her reputation. And, more importantly, the reputation of my business. Good craftsmanship and a damn good captain. Torald Icewind knew the ocean like a sheep knows wool. No, well, not my cargo anyway, but I did lose family. The Autumn Gale was my ship, and I loved her like a daughter. Yes, I did lose a fair share of capital when the ship went down. Luckily, I've got the boat insured by a very wealthy thane. Oh, you mean my emotional loss? Ah, yes, I'm going to feel that for some time. By being shrewd. I used to be a lowly courier, but then I got an idea to charge the people I was delivering to by claiming the sender hadn't paid. If they refused to pay my fee, I opened the letter and sold the information to someone else.
Irid's been playing.
Eventually, I earned enough money to start my own shipping and delivery business.
I wouldn't fret over it.
I'm not fretting. I don't want Irid playing those sorts of games.
All right, I'll speak to her.
Oh, I just needed enough for the down payment. The rest I borrowed. As much as I despise interest, well, when I'm the one paying it, there really was no other way. Good craftsmanship and a damn good captain. Ah, I love young people who are motivated to work. You can start by delivering these supplies to the salvage team. Here, take this to the leader of the team, Utai. She will handle your payment.
Reminding me to never go sailing on an oared boat. Yeah. How much longer do we have to stay in this frostbitten wasteland? It's funny watching Unreal swim. It's like watching a hurker try to fly.
They say if you keep going, you fall off the edge of the world.
I bet I could salvage just as well as Mother.
They say if you keep going, you fall off the edge of the world.
Sometimes I get a little scared going into deeper waters, but that's natural, right? Sometimes I get a little scared going into deeper waters, but that's natural, right?
Water-breathing potions. Poor Heron must have forgotten Argonians have no use for such things. If anything, he should have sent health potions. Actually, as far as cargo goes, I've checked everything off my list, save for one thing. A lease agreement of some kind. Hopefully it's locked up in a chest somewhere, otherwise I doubt we can recover it. You can? Ha! Old Heron finally sent me something useful after all, albeit unintentionally. Tell you what, you find anything, I'll give you a share of the salvaging fee. I got bit by a slaughterfish on the last dive. Nearly snapped my arm in two. Still not sure how it held together. Team? You mean my sons? Oh, they're just here to get their feet wet. Although having them around does help with appearances. Well, there's Pericles, over by the crates. He's talented, but lazy. But it's hard to build a work ethic when everything comes easy. Bluethroat is the middle child. He doesn't like to talk to people, so it's best to give him his space. And lastly, our little hatchling Henru, over by the fire. He's the youngest, but he doesn't like it if you baby him. You did? Splendid. I ought to add you to our team. We'll have to change the name, though. Ute and Sons won't really work if you're the one taking the lead. It does, although I can't say there's any truth in the word amazing. Just ask my husband. In any case, I'd like you to take this document back to Heron. This other cargo can be delayed, but documents like that tend to be time sensitive. Great. Here's your share of the salvaging fee. Do me a favor and let him know the rest of the cargo has been recovered. All right, boys, let's pack it up. We've got to get this to Dawnstar by week's end.
Yes, Mother. I could have got that journal. Mother's just holding me back. You did? I need another drink, but Mother says it's bad for me. They say if you keep going, you fall off the edge of the world.
Good work. The faster we get out of here, the better.
Divine smile on you.
Don't worry, lad. The Autumn Gale never fails to deliver. That's a promise.
The Autumn Gale is at the bottom of the ocean. Who's to say the documents are even legible?
Well, I never said they'd be
Just say the word if you need a drink or something to eat.
Satisfied, I may consider refunding a portion of the payment.
And how are you going to refund my
We
father's
may not have
life?
as much to offer as
There's
white
no
wine or
amount of
solitude,
gold that can
but we'll do what
compensate
we
me
can
for
to
that.
stay a pleasant one.
Oh, right. In that case, I suppose I should just keep the gold then, with the terms of a contract being fulfilled and all.
You greedy little snake! I'm going to tear the skin off of your skull!
Hold that thought. It looks like my newest employee has returned. Hopefully you've brought some good news. Yes, a land lease. That sounds exactly like the thing this lad is looking for. Well, lad, because you're such a valued customer, I went ahead and had my top agent expedite your request. Of course, there is a special fee that's part of our express delivery service.
It's just children.
Fine. Once my father's name is cleared, you'll be paid in full. Just bill me with the details. But first, I want to verify the document.
I'll deliver it personally.
Well, is it true? Do you have the document? Is it signed by Ingrid? A few nobles from Solitude were out hunting and trespassed on my father's land. He mistook them for thieves and, well, things got bloody. One of the men was gravely injured. Now the other wants my father punished. That's up for debate. But if these men were trespassing, it will certainly help his case. A respected Thane who moved to Hammerfell to help push back the Dominion. She owned the cottage and a plot of land my father leased, but they never made a contract, as Nord's word is strong as steel. But that isn't good enough in a trial. Thus we had to send word to Hammerfell to have her sign the papers. It proves my father had a right to be on the land. He signed a lease with one of the Jarl's old thanes back when she was in court. And there's still hope, but it might not be enough. I was wondering perhaps if I could loan your services. I'm on my way to the site for the altercation to see if I can find more evidence.
Yet the echoes of the dead still fill this town.
Thank you, Salvager. Hopefully having another set of eyes will help.
Just say the word if you need a drink or something to eat.
Good, you came. There's a lot going on here, but we need to find things that corroborate with my father's version of what happened. Not many people can find the place, to be honest, since it's not on any map. The only reason guards were able to arrest my father is because he was forced to spend the night in solitude. During the fight, the candle horn got knocked over. By the time the snow came, half the place was burned down, along with much of the evidence. That's partly why you're here. I need an objective witness with no stake in either side. Of course. My father said he was cooking dinner when he heard a commotion outside. The trespassers must have shot down the deer. Smelling my father's dinner, they offered to share the venison in exchange for a drink and a warm fire. On this much, both sides agree. But out here you can never be too careful. My father demanded the strangers to leave the property and take the deer with them. The strangers were insulted. In hindsight, my father should have shown more tact. Nobody likes to be called a thief. Eventually things got heated and shots were fired. These arrows are proof of that. My father ran inside and got his axe. There was a fight near the hearth when one of them knocked over a candle horn. When the fire started, everyone, including my father, fled. Given how detailed my father was, I wouldn't be surprised if your findings match his story. My father never liked hunting. Not at first, anyway. But he learned to love it, because he knew how much it meant to me. Part of me thinks this is all my fault. Had I wanted to stay in the city, he wouldn't be in this situation. But then I think back to all those times we spent together, and how much it meant to him, and I don't have the heart to take them away. Have you ever lost anyone close to you, friend? You're right. There's still time. I'm taking the lease agreement to Solitude to have it verified. Meet me at the Blue Palace. With your help, we'll prove my father's innocence.
Staying out of trouble, kinsman. Thanks again for helping reopen the East Empire Company. Gonna have them import me some of that aged Breton cheese.
Greetings! Have you come to visit the ᵯᴑᴆᴆᴇᴆ? Well, get in line! I've been waiting for weeks on account of that clumsy oaf of an executioner. Is that so? Well, maybe the Sand Walker was finally sober, because the execution I witnessed was a tribute to incompetence. It took 2 cuts to slice off the head, the first cut being so poor it squirted blood all over a couple of elven dignitaries standing up front. I offered my handkerchief to the lady, as is custom, but instead she reached for my cloak and wiped the blood all over the fur. None root oil? 5 salts. Are you trying to wash my cloak or light it on fire? This is why I will not trust its fate to some berry picker. 7 generations this cloak has been in my family. 7! Can you count to 7, peasant? I'd venture not, but it's a long time. One of my ancestors strangled a bear to death with his bare hands to get this fur, and it's been passed down from father to son ever since. First of all, you will address the lady as the ᵯᴑᴆᴆᴇᴆ, peasant, and myself as your lord. As for what the High Queen can do for me, she can start by hiring a real executioner and having him take Hoktar's head. Some land would be nice, like, say, Catalyst Farm or Dragon Bridge. It will likely take both to compensate me for my loss. And if it's true what the gods say, and the High Queen has no intention of seeing me, then perhaps I'll go talk to someone who will. In fact, I think I'll pay the Jarl of Windhelm a visit. I hear he actually values Nord heritage. What is it? You mean you haven't heard it already? Didn't your mother ever read you the story as a child? It's only the most famous Nord tale in all of Skyrim. Let's see. It happened in a cave somewhere in Hivestad, I believe. It was winter, I think. What am I saying? Of course it was winter. Every good Nord story happens in winter. Now, where was I? All right. There was once this bear who lived in Old Pine Pig Cavern named Groth. Not just any bear, mind you. He was as tall as a giant, with paws the size of a wagon, and he was as surly. The Jarl sent a bunch of men in after him. Soldiers, adventurers, companions, but the lowborns died without much of a fuss. That's when my great ancestor, ᵯᴑᴆᴆᴇᴆ, came along on a pilgrimage to High Hrothgar. When he heard about the bear trouble, he decided to help. Of course, the locals were skeptical. ᵯᴑᴆᴆ didn't carry any bear traps or poisons, or even a weapon with him. All he had was the hands that gods gave him, and his noble blood. They say when ᵯᴑᴆᴆ entered that cave, all of Sovngarn stopped to watch. Even Olaf One Eye put down his flagon to take a gander. Groth stood in his hind legs and let out a roar that shook High Hrothgar. Might have caused an avalanche. That's how loud it was. Anyways, where was I? All right. My ancestor ᵯᴑᴆᴆ, true to his name, withstood the mighty beast's roar. His heart was oak, as was his bridges. When ᵯᴑᴆᴆ didn't budge, Groth was startled, but not stilled. He charged at my ancestor, aiming his fangs for his throat. That's when ᵯᴑᴆᴆ let out a battle cry, and met him at the center of the cavern, wrestling the mighty bear to the ground. As they fell to the ground, ᵯᴑᴆᴆ had one arm around Groth's throat. Groth had the other one in his mouth. It was a race. ᵯᴑᴆᴆ was bleeding to death. Groth was choking. In the end, only my ancestor was left standing. He let Groth keep the arm. All right then.
Praise the divines you are here. Come on, let me introduce you.
Time any more than we already have. Further delay will not change the facts at hand.
My Jarl, if I may, the witness I spoke of earlier has arrived. Given he's examined the scene of the altercation, I'd like to have him cross-examine Formir's testimony.
Are you sure this witness of yours can be objective?
I had the captain of the guard vet him, just as he did with your apothecary.
Huh. We shall see.
Formir, there's still time to end this folly. The lease agreement proves you are trespassing. I think it's clear to both you and the court that he cannot be held accountable for your injuries.
My Jarl, it is very noble of this man to defend his father's honor, and for that, he should be commended. Unfortunately, his contention that we trespassed on his father's property is simply not true. It is not trespassing if the man invites you into his home.
You mentioned something that would convince us. Please proceed.
Thank you, my Jarl. You see, my housecarl and I were hunting a deer when one of our stray shots happened to hit this man's cottage. An unfortunate accident, but nothing particularly damaging to the woodwork. Oh, is that so? Then clearly you haven't spoken to Asgeld's father, because he himself admits we killed the deer. Now, if you'll allow me to continue, my Jarl. After the arrow hit the cottage, this man's father came bursting through the door. We apologized for the disturbance. To make amends, we offered to share the venison with him. He agreed and beckoned we come inside. Naturally, we were pleased to get out of the cold. My companion took to skinning the deer, while I perused a nearby bookshelf. I remember this part clearly because I was pleased to find my favorite series, The Wolf Queen, on the top shelf. In fact, I had just opened the book to the first page when I heard my companion scream. Then how is it, when brought before the Jarl, he quoted a passage from the book? You clearly have no idea what you're talking about. In any case, as I was saying, I heard my companion scream behind me. I turned around, only to see your father had struck him with his axe.
Liar!
Calm yourself. I let him tell his version. Please allow me the same courtesy.
Fine.
When I saw my injured companion, I acted on reflex. I wrestled the assailant to the ground and told my friend to flee. At that point, I was certain I was going to die. I was fumbling about, trying to find a weapon or perhaps a miracle. My hands found a candle horn. I threw it at my attacker and missed wildly, but when it struck the wood, the cabin lit up like a bonfire. And the fire is what allowed me to escape. And with that, I conclude my testimony. It is my belief that this man's father attacked us without provocation. What I ask for is not vengeance, my Jarl, but for justice. But whatever you decide, I will humbly accept your judgment.
Thank you.
That could have gone better. At this rate, we might be better off demanding it. Now what?
Need something?
If it pleases the court, I would like to introduce some new evidence regarding our witness's character, which I have just obtained via courier.
Very well.
Thank you, my Jarl. I do not wish to alarm anyone here, but I believe this information may very well compromise the integrity of our chief witness.
What are you up to, Faramir? Explain yourself.
It is not I who has to explain myself. After all, you are the one who attested to the impartiality of this witness. A witness who happens to be a well-known associate of the forger ᵯᴑᴆᴆᴇᴆ. Clearly both his testimony and the lease brought by Asgeld cannot be admitted.
You what?
By the gods, I don't even know what to say.
What? Is this true? Why didn't you tell me sooner? It doesn't matter. The court won't see it that way.
What's wrong, Asgeld? Lost faith in your witness?
I swear, Faramir, I knew nothing of this. But it doesn't matter now. Clearly this trial has been tainted.
Agreed. In light of this new information, I think it would be a travesty to continue.
Then it's a trial by combat, Faramir, you dog. You know damn well my father can't win.
He stands a better chance against me than at this trial.
You're right. Fine. You have a deal.
Excellent. Members of the court, I apologize for wasting your time, but it seems we will settle this matter privately.
Good. You're dismissed.
Damn, I feel like a fool. This is what he wanted from the beginning. My father would not agree to something so cowardly. He will face his death like a man. In any case, I know you did your best. Take this gold for your trouble. Now, if you'll excuse me, I must go see him. I'm responsible for this outcome, so I must bear the news. At the very least, he will sleep soundly tonight, as a free man.
It's so good to see you again.
If he does fall, I know our ancestors will watch over him, just as he watched over me in this life.
Impartial witness. I'd sooner have Galma Stonefist serve as the key witness to Torig's murder.
Please address all questions to the steward, Folk Firebeard.
It's a fine day with you around.
May the gods watch over your battles, friend. Do you have business with the court?
My father will face Vormir in battle like a true Nord.